Spies. Saboteurs. Assassins. We've all done terrible things on behalf of the rebellion.
Cassian Andor. Don't matter what you tell me or tell yourself. You'll ultimately die fighting these bastards. Wouldn't you rather give it all at once to something real?
We've chosen a side. We're fighting against the dark.
There is an organized rebel effort. Drill down and get a hunt started.
You realize what you set in motion? People will suffer.
Time has come to force their hand.
At what cost?
Everything!
Every day we wait, they get stronger.
Let's take them by surprise.
For the greater good.
Call it what you will.
Let's call it war.
People are standing up.
They're afraid. Right now, they're afraid.
What up, folks, and welcome to the Kyber Culture, episode 99. Fucking 99. Holy shit. With myself, the Depocalorian. We're not talking Mandalorian today, but we are talking some Star Wars, and I just wanted to use this. I'm going to coin this as my Star Wars quote-unquote name, because there's nothing from Andor that, I don't know, I couldn't come up with anything. But with myself, the Depocalorian, and John Doerr. Aaron got the good one here. Aaron got the good Star Wars name. But yeah, so not much news to be discussed today. All we're going to do is talk about the first 3 episodes of Andor with spoilers, so you've been warned. There's your spoiler warning right there. But stick around for a chat. Make sure to follow us on YouTube and TikTok, as well as our other socials like Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. And if you like what you're listening to, please consider leaving a rating on Spotify or Apple or wherever you get your podcasts. We'd really appreciate it. But before we get started, how's it going, Aaron?
We doing all right, man. We are doing all right. Not a whole lot exciting other than my car broke down again after I got it fixed, so I'm dealing with that. Got a busted radiator, so trying to figure out.
That's the issue? That confirmed?
Yeah, confirmed busted radiator, which, you know, the parts themselves are not that expensive, but on top of that, the guy was saying, like, you got to flush the cooling system also, so it's really, like, labor that costs the most out of anything, but can't afford it right now. Just been taking public transportation and bumming rides to work, and it ain't so bad. I've done it before, and I've had to commute farther with public transportation, so, I mean, I could complain, but I won't. Outside of that, just started playing the Modern Warfare 2 beta, literally hours before we started recording. It's been pretty fun.
Sick?
COD is COD, you know? There's nothing really new that you can do with COD that's gonna make you feel like, oh my god, I need to play this, you know?
It's just classic pew 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 or what?
Yeah, I mean, crazy good graphics. It's more of like minor details that so far, I mean, I've only played like 4 quick play matches, but it's kind of like the minor details, like, you know, what kill streaks are there, what guns are there, what attachments are there, and I don't know all of that yet, so to be determined, but it is always nice for me to kind of, so I'm not like the biggest COD fan, and I haven't been since basically Black Ops 2 or Black Ops 1, even in Modern Warfare 1, Modern Warfare 2, the relics, or the goated CODs. But it's been fun just to get back into COD. Just fuck around with it for a little bit, you know. Popping off, dude. I'm fucking top fragging like almost every game I've played so far, but that'll probably change. We'll see. I'll probably pre-order it, and it'll just give me something to play until Dragonflight comes out.
What is it, end of the year?
Yeah, it's for sure going to be December, but the exact date is unknown. COD, you can pre-order now, and then you can play before launch in like October, but the actual game launches, COD launches at like the same 3 days every year. It's like November 9th, 10th, or 11th. It'll just give me something to do, something to play in the meantime. Outside of that,
sounds fun.
Yeah, feels good. I haven't played a first-person shooter like, I mean, I'll play Counter-Strike every now and then, but I haven't played like a newer first-person shooter in a while since like Valorant, basically.
I haven't tried really. Well, I tried. Like, I was never into crazy online gaming. Like, I was never into COD like that. And I distinctly remember, like, at least trying it and, like, just get absolutely wrecked every time I ran into a game. I was like, yeah, I think I missed the train on this one. I'm good on it. I just never hopped into COD ever again.
Yeah. I mean, you got to be on your toes, like, pretty much the entire time you're playing, you know? And it's just, I don't know, like, some people just have a natural knack for it. Other people got to play it a lot to get better at it, you know? But yeah, outside of that, kind of been venturing into one of my buddies that I met in my World of Warcraft guild. He works in cybersecurity, and I was talking to him, you know, just basically, you know, don't like what I'm doing right now that much, kind of want to get into a new field. I feel like IT might be the way to go for me for multiple reasons. Mm-hmm. And he's like, you know, hell yeah, I can teach you, man. And he bought like a Udemy course, and we're gonna just do sessions like twice a week, and I'm gonna get like some networking fundamentals, just to know the basics. Yeah, we'll see where it goes, you know.
Dang, that's fun, dude.
Yeah.
I imagine that could potentially be a remote gig as well.
And that is one of the things I'm looking for. Or even if it's hybrid, you know, even if it's 2 days on, 2 days off, whatever.
And I'm sure the industry for that in Seattle is like they're good spots for it, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I feel like pretty much anywhere you go, there's always a demand for IT. And hopefully, you know, I'm not set on it, but depending on what paths I go down, it could lead me somewhere into the gaming industry. We'll see. Just kind of taking it a step at a time, you know, get some knowledge, get taught by somebody who knows what they're doing without paying a dime, you know.
For sure.
Other than my internet bill. Because we're doing it virtually. But yeah, it'll be interesting. Learning something new, and hopefully going down a path of actually getting a career. It's a good thing on the horizon.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, man. I'm excited. I'm excited for if I stick with it, where it could lead.
If we have any listeners that are IT folks, shoot us a DM and see if we can help out Aaron here.
Yeah. You guys are in networking or coding or system administration. I don't even care. Like, if you're in the IT field, definitely.
Fuck yeah, dude.
DM us.
Sick.
Be sick.
Shoot us a DM.
Yeah. Outside of that, you know, moving on in life and taking it day by day. Got some new things on the horizon. Yeah, and trucking forward, man. What about you, man?
I'm good. I spent the last 3 weekends driving to LAX, or otherwise known as Los Angeles International Airport. If folks listening have ever drove or been around there or flew out there or whatever, it's a nightmare every time. I don't know. LAX just sucks. That's all I can really say about it. But like, having to go there it just drags. Like, when I go, like right now, it's like early evening when we're recording this right now, and I'm going like around midnight. So I imagine the airport won't be too crazy at that time. Maybe it could be. You never really know. But yeah, so it's my rare complaint on the pod here. But my parents are they're coming back from the Philippines, so I wouldn't want them to take an Uber back to their place from the airport. That sounds like hundreds of dollars. So I'm like, nah, I'll handle it. It's fine. But on a brighter note, tomorrow I'm visiting the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures. Really looking forward to that. I mean, that honestly depends on when I get back from the airport tonight. I might be too tired to do this, but maybe I'll just have to rally. But essentially, the museum, like the Academy, these are the folks that do like, they organize the Oscars. So it's just a museum just filled with like Oscar movie shit. I'm looking forward to it. Sounds like fun. Other than that, I just wrapped up a crazy week of work. It was chill though, because I got to work a little overtime, and my boss paid for all my food. I think I talked about this like some pods ago. It was quarter change, so I was super busy, but it was great. I loved it. Like, free food and extra pay. Can't really complain.
Gonna pay me and feed me? Shit, man.
Shit.
Count me in.
No, that's pretty much it on my end. Nothing crazy. Business as usual, as we like to say on this pod. But anyway, just a couple of news things here that I want to discuss with you. And this first one is huge, like big time. James Earl Jones is officially retiring from voicing Darth Vader. Absolute legend. But it's kind of weird because he's like kind of retiring, but not really, because like they have this like weird shit with technology now where you can like record like all these lines and then they can use his voice to get Darth Vader to say whatever they want. So his voice is still going to be around, but he's not actually going to record them himself. It's kind of weird. What a legacy to leave behind. Let's see what else here. EA Motive. I'm a little gaming thing that got me a little hyped today. Is they're developing an Iron Man game, and it's being led by Oliver Prue, who was a producer on the Guardians of the Galaxy game by Square Enix. Did you ever? I know you had it. Did you ever beat it?
Did not dive too much into that game. I mean, I have it in my library. I can always go back to it. But yeah, Square Enix, man, they did pretty much all the Final Fantasy games.
Yeah,
in good hands. In good hands on that one.
Yeah. So yes, I'm in when it drops. Or it could end up being one of those things where I buy the game and it just sits in my library and I never open it. Right now, for me, I have Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Most recently, I bought the remaster of The Last of Us. 3 games that I haven't really played at all.
Still haven't finished Elden Ring.
Still haven't finished Elden Ring.
Which I haven't either.
Man. I haven't finished Elden Ring, and I feel like I barely put it... Like, I played it consistently for like 2.5 months or something, and I feel like I barely put a dent in it.
It's a big game, man. It's a big game.
But yeah, no, I'd watch some of your streams on Twitch, and like I'd see you running around and be like, I have no idea what I'm looking at right now. Like, I feel like there's just parts of the map where I'm like, where the fuck am I? You know? But yeah, so Iron Man game, I'm in. See how it goes. I hope it's good. That's really it for news. You ready to talk some Andor? First 3 episodes of Andor. Just a couple quick facts before we start. It is a prequel to a prequel. The show focuses on Cassian Andor's journey to discover the difference he can make. The series brings forward the tale of the burgeoning rebellion against the Empire and how people and planets became involved. It's an era filled with danger, deception, and intrigue where Cassian will embark on the path that is destined to turn him into a rebel hero. Let's see, Tony Haynes, he directed the first 3 episodes, the ones we're about to talk about, and it's written and produced by Tony Gilroy, who was involved in the rewrites and reshoots of Rogue One. The score is composed by Nicholas Britell, who some folks might know because of his work on Succession, Moonlight, If Beale Street Can Talk, and Don't Look Up. The show is confirmed to have 2 12-episode seasons, so it's like a 2-season limited series, and the final episode of season 2 will lead directly into Rogue One. I hear kind of in like a similar fashion of how Rogue One directly connects to A New Hope, so that's pretty cool. I wonder how that'll turn out. Alan Tudyk will be back as K2SO at some point. I think season 2 makes the most sense. And last fact, the volume was not used for the show, unlike Mando, Obi-Wan, and Boba Fett. Large-scale sets were built at Pinewood Studios, and a lot of the filming was on location, so that's awesome. And Diego Luna actually said that they would take like long, lengthy walks to get to a set for location filming, and they walked up this crazy mountain in Scotland for hours just to get one shot. Just one shot. A fucking dedication, dude. But yeah, anyways, Diego Luna's back as Cassian Andor, of course. Stellan Skarsgård is here. Genevieve O'Reilly as Mon Mothma. Haven't seen her yet, but she's in the cast. Forrest Whitaker is going to be in the show as he returns as Saw Gerrera. It's got some good people behind the scenes and in front of the camera. Anyway, let's get into the show for a little bit. So, just generally speaking, just my initial general thoughts after watching the show. Just straight off the bat, I don't really have any like negatives or critiques about it. Maybe one nitpick is that I think it tends to be a little slow at times, but I'm good on watching like a slow burn show. So it's not really a critique on my end, but if I were to complain about it, I'd be like, yeah, it can be slow at times. But I think it's damn good TV, and I think this show should serve as a template for what Star Wars and Marvel shows can be on Disney Plus. I think the slow burn part of it might steer people away, but the length of the episodes, because they're like, each of these episodes is at least 40 minutes, and the season is 12 episodes. Like a lot of the Marvel shows, they're less than 30 minutes and you only get like 6 episodes of them. So I'm just like, dude, this is crazy. With Andor, you actually feel like you can build out a world and like have a satisfying ending. None of it feels like it's like the pacing is good, is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, no, I'm really enjoying it so far. But what do you have? Do you have like general thoughts to speak on?
Yeah, I agree with you for the most part. I think that this does actually feel like actual television compared to like what Disney television has been in the past. Other than, I can't even say The Mandalorian, because The Mandalorian almost felt like segments of movies at times, like, yeah, I mean, it just feels like, it feels, sounds, and looks like good television. I do agree with you on the slow burn aspect of it, but after watching all 3 episodes, I kind of think that there's a lot with episode 1 and episode 2 that they could cut out and still have the same build up to episode 3 and it have the same impact on the viewer. And nothing really in specific, just I think time could be reallocated differently. My opinion on that could change very well. It could very well change as the show progresses. It's especially interesting because kind of like toggling back and forth between watching Andor and House of the Dragon. I'm like, fuck, man. Like, I'm like so much more excited for Andor. And also on top of that, Andor feels different. I think specifically because we have not one hint or visual of the Force. Like even The Mandalorian, in the first 3 episodes, you had some element of something that could be Force sensitive, No, I think that's. I feel like we already expected that once, once the project was confirmed, once like more trailers came out, like a lot more posts and leaks and all that stuff. It feels pretty good so far, and it does. Like the first 3 episodes progress pretty well, I think. But I still will say like the show doesn't really pop off until episode 3. Like that's like you're interested the first 2 episodes, but you don't get really interested until the 3rd episode.
The first 2 episodes kind of just like bring you into like the state of things, and it's a lot of world building and like introducing you to the characters,
Yeah, which is fine. Yeah, I mean we want world building, we want character development, we want story arcs. Again, I think outside of like the first scene of the first episode, that sets everything in motion, right? Like clearly, like that's how all this starts evolving. There's some things like how like, character engagements and like character interactions that I'm kind of like, could kind of do without that, because I feel like some of these characters might not be that important as the show goes on. I am pleasantly surprised, We're getting a different Star Wars vibe for sure. And
yeah, no, if anything, that's like the main thing, is that the tone of it lines up with Rogue One. Like if any, like it fits the vibe of Rogue One, but like after getting the Book of Boba Fett and getting Obi-Wan Kenobi, it's so tonally different and its own thing, and just feels a little more mature compared to those 2 shows. And I like what you said about the Force kind of being absent, because the show itself feels very dystopian and a little hopeless, like even like just the way it looks, everything's like gray and like dull, and I really like that. I mean, I don't think it'll be absent forever. I actually have a question for you. Do you think we get any lightsabers in this? I'm not saying like any Jedi in specific, but just like a lightsaber. Ignited or not ignited?
Even if I were to say yes, I don't necessarily know how or why we would. At least at this point in the show. Maybe the show goes on to hint at, yes, like there's going to be a lightsaber or something. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything to like signal or warrant a lightsaber coming up, or like making an appearance, or like even like a part of a lightsaber that we would easily recognize and be like, yo, that's part of a lightsaber. Don't think so. I'm trying to think about the time frame.
The timeline in the first episode takes place BBY.
Yep.
Or BBY 5. So BBY stands for
Before the Battle of Yavin.
Before Battle of Yavin, right?
Yeah.
So when these numbers, since it says BBY 5, so this takes place before Rogue One, before A New Hope. So when we move forward in the timeline, does the number get smaller?
It is literally the same thing as, well, it's changed now, but like before Christ and after Christ, it's the same concept. It literally is, which is like hilarious to me because like Star Wars is like kind of my religion. So, like, it's so funny to think about. But yeah, it's the same concept. Yes. So like the Battle of Yavin is 0. And anything before it is like negative. So the more you move forward, the more you get closer to 0, and then into the positives.
Okay, gotcha. Good. I'm glad we cleared that up.
And not only am I glad we cleared it up, but I'm so glad that they actually threw that in there because I don't.
So you know when it
I don't think they've ever like thrown that on screen before. I don't think they've ever done that. Like they've done like the whole like location thing, you know, like in certain mediums, like. You know, you fly into a different planet and it'll throw the planet on and like the system that you're in. Mm-hmm. But like them throwing in like the timeline is like interesting. If they didn't throw that in there after watching the first 3 episodes, we would still know where we are.
The show has flashbacks to when he's a kid.
Right.
I do wish they gave us a BBY when he was a kid because I don't know how old he is, you know?
Well, that would help. That would give you a pretty accurate depiction of how old he is right now, or an idea of how old he is. Roughly. Yeah. It'll give you a rough idea.
Would have been cool.
Yeah.
But it's all good.
I mean, I assume he's somewhere in his 30s in Rogue One, or something like that. Or like late 20s, early 30s, mid 30s, something like that. But yeah, I am kind of hoping that them doing that means something later in the show. Like to make us think like some crazy event happens like towards the end of the show that we're like, wait, well, when did this happen? But now we have like a timeline to reference it, essentially.
Yeah, it's nice. But yeah, so let's just dive into episode 1. So I have like little brief synopses of what happens here. So it starts off, Cassian Andor is looking for his sister for some reason. We're not really sure yet. And he also needs to hide the fact that he's Canarian. That's the planet where Canary is where he's from. Kills 2 guards in the process. He's on the run. And he has this thing called a Star Path unit. I'm not sure what that is. Aaron, is Star Path unit ring any bells?
I mean, that particular verbiage, no. I can only assume what it means.
I mean, he explains like what he does in episode 3, but just wondering if you had heard of it before. But this thing's expensive. Like he's trying to sell it to that guy for like 40,000 units. Just some things from me. I was like, this opening scene, I kid you not, I was right just from the first frame of him walking in the rain. I was already hooked. Like, I was like, oh fuck, this is so cool. I think the reason why is just because of the, like what I mentioned earlier, the very dystopian feel. It just felt very Blade Runner to me, like future rainy dystopian setting, people wearing cool coats. It was awesome. The basic technical stuff, it's visually stunning. The cinematography is great. It's gorgeous. It looks really good. And I think the score by Nicholas Britell is beautiful. Definitely feels otherworldly. And just like a little random fact, like each time you get the opening title card, like the Andor opening title card, and we get the theme music, each episode is going to have its own rendition of the intro. Diego Luna I think he's amazing. Honestly, this wasn't a story that I was really looking forward to or knowing more about, but now that I'm here, I'm just like insanely invested. But I think it's just because of the fact that it just nails the nitty grittiness of Star Wars, you know? Like I said, the opening scene, it's perfect. Just the opening 10-15 minutes, it's awesome. Like, you know it's super serious. Like in Rogue One, how we first meet Cassian, like he's meeting with that guy to get information, but then he realizes like they have to escape some stormtroopers, and then the first thing he does, like once he gets the info, because the guy can't climb with him, so he just fucking kills him. And in this, like not even in the first like the first 10 minutes, he's already killed 2 guys. You know? I'm just like, damn, this shit is tough. But I just mentioned the title card earlier. I just want to go back to it real quick. I like how he gets like the little rebellion emblem on top of his name.
The crest. Yeah,
the crest. And I'm wondering if like this show is going to answered this question that I never really thought about until I saw the logo. The origin of the logo in the first place, you know, like where it comes from and why they use it, and like why is that the symbol of the rebellion, you know? But I did do a little bit of digging. So I guess it's they call it the Alliance Starbird, and I guess it's the Merrick family crest. That's where it comes from, but I don't know if the Merrick family is canon. Some have said that Sabine kind of graffitis it everywhere, so it could come from there. But yeah, no, I'm curious to know like why they start using it. And I think it has something to do with Andor, maybe. Yeah, so let's see what else. I also liked all the time that we spent on Ferrix. Ferrix is a planet that Cassian goes to after he kills those two guys on the super rainy planet. Damn, I forget the name of it. This planet Ferrix, I really can't help but feel Jedi Fallen Order vibes from this. It seems like the main profession or job that everyone has there is taking apart old ships.
Salvaging.
Salvaging, and like just felt very much like the opener to Fallen Order, because as Cal, you're salvaging ships, you know? It was awesome. Even down to the outfits. Like everyone kind of has like that poncho type looking coat on that Cal wears. And I could just see like, you know, just in the background, I could totally see Cal Kestis just walking around Ferrix, like with his blue and orange trench coat, you know? If there's anything that I would want from the show is for some reason to have him there. That would be sick. Going back to BBY, Fallen Order takes place, I think, like 10 or 15 BBY or something like that.
Yeah, it's a little bit earlier.
It could work, though. I mean, if we got Saw Gerrera in Fallen Order, like Forrest Whitaker's Saw Gerrera in Fallen Order, and we're getting Forrest Whitaker here. But if it doesn't happen, I'm not going to be disappointed. I'm just dreaming on that note. Let's see what else about episode 1. Star Wars does a really good job at making you feel for the droids.
Always. Especially this one.
Always. Yeah, no, this one, like all droids in Star Wars want to do is just accompany their humans wherever they go. And he's like, nah, just stay with the ship. I'm like, fuck, come on. This droid is sick.
Makes you feel like they're like dogs, you know?
Yeah.
Or like, yeah, dogs. I would say cats, but not really. Cats don't do that shit.
Yeah, cats don't care. It's like, oh, you're taking off, right? I'll see you when I get back.
As long as you feed me, you little bitch.
Let's see what else about episode 1. I really like the way they're handling the flashbacks. Even though it's only 3 episodes in, I kind of feel like I like how they do the jump back and forth during the episode instead of just like having like one episode focused on an entire flashback. You know, I think that'll, like, maybe they will do that within the next 9 episodes, but I don't think they will. So I think that's pretty awesome. And honestly, man, everything they built around the world is amazing. It just feels so bleak and depressing, and it's just awesome. That's really all the thoughts I had on episode 1.
Yeah, man. Well said. The feels, the vibes that you get from the first episode, you feel immersed in a world that you were expecting to get once the show was announced, and the vibe that and the message that they sent out about what the show was supposed to feel like and what it was supposed to be about. And the flashback thing, though, just to kind of like piggyback on you, I think this is where these flashbacks end, because the whole point of it, we'll talk about episode 3, but it's kind of like, I mean, that's where he got the Starlight thing. Random side note, the one thing that I really did love was getting like the head of the like security department is from House Aaron.
Yeah, Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Like the voice is kind of like unmissable. Like,
yeah,
you're like, oh man, I know that voice.
At first, I was like, yeah, it sounds like him, but he just looks so different in the show, you know. But it's great. I think he's hilarious, and that scene's like, they kind of seem like the law enforcement, and like the head guy is kind of like, oh well, we're just gonna make up a story, and you know,
this isn't
like,
in our best interests. We don't need to do anything about this.
But it's also like oh well, these two guys were also doing everything that they weren't supposed to do, like in a spot where they weren't supposed to be drinking stuff they weren't supposed to drink, and let's just make up a story about why they're dead. And then the guy's just like, I think he has good intentions, you know. He just wants to back up his dudes that died.
He gets a little like, I'm not going to go as far as like Nazi about it.
I think that's what they're trying to go for here. Like he's kind of a nut. you know?
Total submission to like the greater, like the establishment, which is weird, and it progresses more as the episodes go on.
Yeah, but then you realize in episode 3, this guy actually ain't shit. He talked up a big game, but he sucks.
Dude, the guy that he met was like talking more game than he was. Like, fuck.
Yeah.
Or walking more game. But no, even just going back to like the first sequence, that scene where Cassie, like those two guys in the brothel were like bullying him, like for his credits and shit. Like they were basically abusing their power to like get something out of him as they were walking away from the brothel. Like that was a good scene because I did not expect the guy that Cassian tackles to die. And then I also didn't expect the other guy who was alive to just totally be aware of like the situation and be like, this guy could fucking kill me right now because he's got a blaster. I ain't got shit. He killed this guy, has a little remorse for it. The only reason he cares that he killed this guy is because he could get caught for it.
This guy was trying to pitch him such a shitty deal though, because he was like, oh, look, like we'll make up this story, but we both have to go in.
Yeah.
Like, we both have to go to the authorities for this.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, yeah, man, I don't know if it's gonna fly that way.
Yeah. I mean, outside of going in together, like he pitched a pretty good story. Outside of that, first episode, I do like the flashbacks. It's very interesting to see that Cassian comes from like a very indigenous group of people. What I think is the most interesting is that they introduce these flashbacks and these scenes that do progress throughout the next 2 episodes. Everybody's speaking a language and they don't translate it in subtitles. Like you don't know what they're saying. No. I mean, maybe my subtitles were fucked up, but every time they were talking, none of it was translated for me.
Maybe it's like a technical thing. Like you actually might have to. Do you usually watch stuff with captions?
Always. Yeah. I always have it on Disney Plus.
I thought
Was it translating it for you?
Wow, I can't remember.
No, it wasn't. Like we were just like watching them talk in their native tongue, and they didn't translate any of it. We had no idea what they were saying to each other.
Yeah, I guess I'm only remembering that they call Cassian Casa. Yeah, no, I don't remember. Wow.
I don't think that the dialogue that they're having like needs interpretation or translation because you kind of understand what's going on.
Yeah, you know what they're doing.
But it's cool. Like I think it's probably one of the more artistic things that Star Wars has done. But yeah, outside of that, I'm very interested to see what you think is going to be kind of a love triangle going on in the first episode between Bix and Cassian, and I forget the other dude's name.
It's just Tim.
It's just Tim, dude, with 2 M's.
Yeah.
Tim with 2 M's.
Tim with 2 M's.
Yeah, dude. That'd be my bio. Yeah, kind of interesting, but that, we'll go on to it. Talk about what happens with that. I'm also very interested to know Bix and Cassian's relation outside of them being like in the background business partners. It's a really good pilot. Yeah, I don't really have that much negative to say about it.
I'll say this too. Like I'm happy that they dropped the first 3 episodes, but I would have been interested either way if they just dropped the first one.
I agree with you.
Like I think there's enough intrigue there.
I think I would be less interested if they did it episode by episode. Yeah. But I'd still be interested,
Let's get into episode 2. It starts with a flashback. Casa, like they see the ship crash in the first episode, and then they're going there, and then what do you think this is? Like a mining quarry?
Oh yeah, they're mining something. Like I mean, in my first thing that goes into my head, oh, these are spice mines.
Yeah,
that is literally the first thing I think of. Even if it's not spice, they're mining something. For sure.
Yeah.
100%. And it got abandoned. It's clearly abandoned.
I'm guessing...
Or the native people killed them off and scared them off. I don't know.
Guessing in the future, this has something to do with the Canarians as to why, why is being from Canary such a big deal, Kind of seems like whoever was on Canary is now, like, on the run or something, And they do say like what happens, it's like toxic there or something like that. They say that I think later this episode or in episode 3. But I want to see what actually goes down there. In this episode, we're also introduced to Marva, who kind of seems like something of a mother figure to Cassian. Later in the episode, Tim rats on Cassian. Damn shame. He was just jealous of him and Bix for no reason, or of Cassian and Bix, which was kind of lame. And we also get to meet Stellan Skarsgård character by the end. Honestly, I don't have a whole lot to say on episode 2. The guy banging on the metal gong thing was sick. Like, this guy was just so into, like, waking up the people.
He had like this pre-warm-up thing going on.
Yeah, no, he like does a stretch and like he does like a big like deep breath and like exhale before that first hit. Dude, this guy is passionate about his job. So that guy's great. Hope we get more of him in the future. Let's see. The Pre-Mor Authority is on the hunt for Cassian, and like episode 2, I think is kind of slows it down a little more from the first one. Still enjoyed it. Everything still looked great.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with you. It definitely slows it down. And this is the episode where I think they could have cut a lot out in terms of the progression into episode 3. I think really the only interesting things that happen in this episode, like I do like the people in the blue coats, the blue uniforms. They're essentially like I
think they're just Pre-Mor Authority. That's what they're called.
Well, they're corporate police, essentially.
Yeah.
That's essentially, yeah. And they are like, I'm pretty sure they're hired by the Empire. Mm-hmm. Like, they're definitely affiliated with the Empire. I do like that element of it.
They're painting him out as like a really good person that you like to hate.
Like, he's just doing his job really well. This is what he's supposed to do, but you kind of hate his charisma towards the job.
Yeah.
But that's because you're on the other end of it and you're rooting for
Cassian,
who he's going against. Yeah.
And I'll say this too, is that like this episode gave us two backstabbers. Like Tim for one ratted on him, and then it wasn't safe to assume that the brothel lady, that interaction seemed friendly, but it's not like she was ever on his side or anything.
Yeah, they weren't like affiliated prior to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she was just doing her job in the brothel, and then she ratted on him. And I was like, oh, how dare you?
Yeah, I know. But you definitely felt less betrayed with that scene compared to Tim. Cassian also kind of fucked up by giving out too much information. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of on him.
Yeah, Cassian, big oversharer. Like, come on.
But he's like so passionate about like trying to find his sister. You know, I mean,
yeah,
you can't really blame him at the same time. But
can't blame the guy.
Yeah, but I do agree. Not a lot else exciting happens in episode 2. I don't really have much else to say about episode 2.
Okay, so let's get into episode 3. Finally get the meeting between Cassian and Stellan Skarsgård's character Luthen. He's trying to get rid of the Starpath unit and get off the planet, trying to avoid the Pre-Mor Authority. I want to call them something else. They're the police. Screw it. I'm just calling them the police.
The boys in blue, man.
The boys in blue and a little bit of orange. And we also got the scene where Marva and Bee meet Cassian as a kid. And the episode ends with Cassian escaping with Luthen with a pretty crazy town shootout. A couple thoughts that I had on this. Not exactly sure that I trust Luthen. He just seems a little shady. Even though he does seem a little off, I do like the dynamic that we get here between the two. Almost kind of starts out like you kind of get this vibe that he's going to act as a mentor towards Cassian. And that'll be interesting because we kind of know how mentors end up in Star Wars. The scene inside the warehouse where all those heavy things were falling off the roof, like all the chain shit, was actually in the extended special look at Andor in the IMAX re-release of Rogue One. So it's cool to see that scene again in context. I also love the whole town starting to do that rhythmic banging. That was pretty sick. Like for a while, I thought it just served as a like when Marva says like once the banging stops, like that's when you should be concerned. And I thought that was sick because like just a few minutes later, like once the banging actually stops, like just everything goes wrong for these guys. It was pretty sick. And the ending of the episode is good as well. I like I said earlier, I like how they're handling flashbacks in this. Again, reminds me of Fallen Order. Like, you remember how they handled the flashbacks in Fallen Order? You get to an obstacle, and then it flashes back, and then you like relearn how to do like a force jump or something like that. The flashbacks in this show, I feel, are going to be similar. For me, I don't think the flashbacks are over. I think we're going to get some more in future episodes. But I feel like they will be similar in a sense where Cassian will run into something in the present, and then it'll flash back to when he handled a problem that was similar. we'll see how it goes, but it kind of seems that the flashbacks are actually here to serve a purpose, which is awesome. Just wrapping it up, I think these first 3 episodes are real strong, and I feel like the table is set for the final 9 episodes to be really great. But what did you think about episode 3?
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely where the pace definitely starts to quicken. I love the kind of forced dynamic between Luthen and Cassian at the end. It was really cool to see that Luthen didn't necessarily want the item. He wants the talent that was behind the acquisition and the acquiring of that item. It's definitely a cool aspect of kind of where everything's going. And that's kind of what you're intrigued in as an audience. Like how did Cassian become like stealthy, skilled, rogue, not even soldier, just kind of like agent in the early rebellion and the later rebellion.
Yeah, that's the other thing about the show too. It's starting to feel like very, very spy espionage, you know?
Very. I do love how you bring up like, do we like Luthen, do we not? But I think that's going to be the big vibe as the both seasons progress. This is the birth of an era where, like, who the obvious enemy is, but you never know who's working for who. That feeling intensifies as this time period progresses, especially when you have corporate police that are being hired by the Empire, and you have, even just random shop owners that would backstab you and betray you for no fucking reason. I love the parallel, the end of the episode where, they're taking off. It's like Luthen and Cassian taking off, and then it's Marvin and young Cassian taking off with the other dude. It's a great little back and forth. But now the more that I think about it, and the more you talk about it, I do think the flashbacks, they'll still keep coming back, because I think there's a story worth telling between Marvin and Cassian, and like why they're so close in the beginning of the show, and then how, like, picking up where Marvin saving Cassian left off. I mean, you can't deny that Marvin has a huge influence on Cassian's life. And it would be kind of worth explaining, at least for a little bit, like why Marvin's doing what she's doing with that other dude. Like, why are they stealing parts? How did they learn what they know? And I mean, I'm sure they're just making their way through the galaxy at this point in the Star Wars timeline. But yeah, no, I agree with you now. I kind of got to rescind my opinion from earlier.
I think too is that I think we need to know more about the relationship with him and his sister, because I don't think that's solved yet. I'm not sure why he's actually still looking for her.
Yeah, I personally think Bix was part of that clan for some reason, because Bix and Cassian have these weird interactions a couple times throughout the first 3 episodes that you're kind of like, okay, were they like previous lovers? Are they in love, but they know they can't be in love? Like, I don't know. I have a strong suspicion that Bix is also part of the Canary clan for some reason. But definitely the Casa and Casa's sister.
Yeah.
And that's like the whole driving point of the show, at least in the beginning.
So we'll see. Other than that, that's honestly all I have on the show. I give the first 3 episodes a 4.5 out of 5. Definitely looking forward to more. What about you? Any final thoughts?
No. Kind of gave my piece, even just to go episode by episode, I think is like a 4.25, then a 4, then a 4.5, which averages out to something around the 4.25 range for the first 3 episodes.
So yeah, big math.
Yeah.
Solid show. I was pleasantly surprised. And I love that, like back months ago or whatever, like when I was looking at the slate for all the Star Wars shows that we were getting and all the Star Wars content that we were getting, I definitely was looking at Andor, and I'm like, yeah, I'll watch it. But after like actually watching it, I'm like, holy fuck.
I think that also has something to do with like also what's out in terms of like the MCU and Star Wars right now. It's kind of like a lull, it's kind of a void and all that.
Man, it's
interesting. The whole timeline of everything that's coming out. Ahsoka, Mando Season 3, Tales of the Jedi, like, kind of like Andor's kind of on the bottom end for me. I actually have a show where I'm like, I can't wait till next episode.
And no, Star Wars is interesting too, because when you bring up that lull, at least with with Marvel, like we're definitely the in between, like between each like big team up movie, you know. But they like the Marvel stuff has a presence in the movie theaters. Like for Star Wars, like we're just in like I don't think it's a lull. Like it feels like Star Wars TV is the premier Star Wars stuff. There's no movie really to kind of look forward to in the future.
Yeah.
Besides the one that's coming out in December in 2025, which no one knows what it is. You know?
Yeah. I mean,
no details on it.
Hoping it's YTT's Star Wars, but yeah, no, I agree with you. But it's not a negative thing. It's like, oh yeah, no, it's not a Star negative. Wars movie to look forward to. It's more like, oh, like now we're getting towards a point where it's a blank slate and we can start writing so many different stories within Star Wars, and it's going to be good.
As we always say on this show, the future of Star Wars is bright. Yeah, no, that's it for episode 99. Damn, next time is episode 100. That's fucking crazy.
We're hitting the century mark.
But yeah, just as a reminder, we're ranking the live action Star Wars movies, all of them. It's going to be us two. I believe we'll have Brian back for that one, and then my brother is also going to join us. So we're just going to have a fun little discussion on our personal rankings of live action Star Wars movies. We're also going to do a little mailbag. We're going to take some questions from some folks, and we're also going to discuss if they should remake the original trilogy, the original Star Wars trilogy. It's going to be a fun time, but until then, thanks for tuning into this pod, and stay tuned, folks. Thanks for listening.